Dirt and Dildos 6. U.S. sold me. Hey, hey. Hope you're cozy and gay today, strangers. Aiming for light, but times are still tough. Relocation, passing of another mentor, thwarting bully attempts, and regulating work and art schedules. Rebroke the foot and toes while exercising, first time in early 2016, so juggling a circus as usual over here. Arnica gel with Epsom salt soaks should get me dancing in no time. Survivor even when saying no to life. This is an attempt to explain how I believe I was targeted by the feds and DNC in several ways most of my life. Hard in 2012, worse by 2016 election. A delegate for Ron Paul, ultimately choosing third party and Gary Johnson. Deeply programmed by our national education and social systems, I attended girls' state political system training by top high school performance qualifiers, have war veteran and intelligence relatives, worked alongside activists, performers, and journalists from everywhere, endured devastating emotional long-standing traumas and residuals of political and religious wars, and was labeled a government whistleblower shortly after 9/11 while a FEMA rep and public works manager. With genuine concern, I pointed out suspicious liabilities, hazards, and wasteful methods, the lack of meetings and planning for possible future disasters, private sector standards for business survival. But few cared. They fought like savage pigs over budget dollars. Managers were sued left and right for military-style mess-ups, and 75% of one division alone were on pills to tolerate the mistreatment. My health was suffering in major ways, migraines, digestive troubles, etc. So, it felt like I had to go. Some called me a hero, others painted me crazy or actively launched attacks on my logic. But the migraines in fact ceased after my departure. I sent a letter detailing my reasons for prompt resignation to all departments of my jurisdiction and local news affiliates, one that often called to speak with the department head, my boss, whom was always refusing the calls, snoozing, at his desk, or out of office. The mayor by this time was wife of the fire chief, divorcing publicly and taking it out of the staff regularly to make matters even worse. The most local of the news organizations went out of business shortly following my whistleblower disclosures. Soon, it became a running joke in local governing bodies. Family and friends would not and still don't allow us to speak freely of politics, social or business issues, yet routinely force their chosen religions and lifestyles. Rapid-fire tragedies and losses ensued, including my divorce after support of hubby through a DUI that took over 2 years and $15,000 to escape, family dramas, relocation across the country and return, the fires at a client's buildings with fatalities, referred to D&D 5, Psychov, passing of both my G-Ma and G-Pa, closest parents to me, and then cancer claimed my cousin, too young. Totally exhausted by 2015 with multiple clients, another move was required due to toxic black mold in a very aged long-term rental home. Our health was plagued severely and we had to dispose of furniture, clothes, and more to prevent further contamination, another costly hit for us. Prior to my changing mailing or voting address, I got a letter directly from the DNC, signed by Obama, though I had not been involved with Dems since voting for Obama in 2008. No one I knew received this letter, and nobody spoke up when I posted a copy publicly, except for infantile attack dog Jabbers. I also fielded a few unknown number calls to my cell phone from someone claiming to be with the DNC, suggesting that they knew how I felt about heavy social issues, menacingly and repeatedly, even after my asking to be removed from lists and blocking numbers. So I wrote a brief response letter, 1 page, to the DNC 3 pages, within the same month of November, and finally, no response. But early 2016, we had to relocate again after a young ex-military roommate, employed by same company as my partner, quit his job in premature expectation of a legal settlement after injuring himself accidentally, then vandalized, stole from us, harassed me while at home, bullied, put screws behind the tire of our only auto on my B-day, broke sentimental items, flooded the front yard by leaving a hose on after a solo bonfire, and so on. In June, I realized that someone had changed my voting address online to one that doesn't even exist, and called the local county voting office, recording the conversation since I knew it wouldn't be a simple one. The rep admitted that the U.S. Post Office had contacted them in November 2015 to provide the erroneous address and that it was indeed one that did not exist anywhere at all, so everything would have forever been returned undeliverable. Gotcha, Gov gangbangers! I was drugged and poisoned in that same county just a couple weeks later. I would have voted for Gary Johnson again, third-party bumper sticker obvious at this time, but I was incapacitated and literally on my deathbed during the 2016 election process. Like a group of thugs knew what my vote was going to be, intentionally sabotaged and prevented it. What say you, supposedly free comrades? I'm going to summate and post all pages of the DNC 3-pager, since it's drone-like and repeats itself at least 3 times, then read and post my response, and lastly, attach the audio from the county voting call, some details omitted for privacy, literally proof of bullying, targeting, and fraud by someone during the same month of the DNC letter. Non-existent addy entered into the governing system without any quality control by USPS. Instead, data seems to be used for partisan solicitation and or causing grief to competitors. How many have been merrily conspiring to torment and silence, mocking, blind and ignorant to history and family sacrifices, academic and professional participation, government whistleblower status, my intimate relationship independence following a divorce, for example, over 10-year loyalty to my current partner, our creative small business challenges and adventures? Question mark. As usual, proper governing terrorist format. Even jumping through hoops and bending over on demand doesn't yield safety, respect, or reward. Voting is entirely rigged for empire longevity, a yo-yo of elite sociopaths. As of now, I won't vote by choice in 2020. Rather wish America luck with Cheeto Head and the never-ending zombie river of bimbos and dildos. And WTF Mental Health Month. Just in time for creepy costumes in the dark and getting high on sugar and whatnot. Watch as humans with feelings are triggered or go numb and retreat as usual. As a result. Disorders, behavior training, eugenic studies, and pills are for ism-loving lab rats. I'm going to pass on all that. Try communicating honestly, exploring yourself and new methods. The best soul food is messy. I'm crossing fingers and toes that are not broken. Companions will be appearing with me in the next D&D video production, either detailing our personal profiles or recounting the disabling ramifications of our recent prolonged raping by Gov that claims to be keeping us safe. Now, for the letters and a phone call. Kindly take it with a grain of whatever you wish, and feel free to share, as usual, with your woofers and tweeters. Letter from DNC, Democratic National Committee, President Barack Obama, dated November 3rd, 2015, to me, Crystal McMeans. Last name, my ex-husband's, though we'd been divorced for many years at this time. As I explained, I'm not going to read the entire thing. It does repeat itself several times in the exactingly same way. It brags several times about forward strides, though most is not provable. Also mentions LGBT as if it's something that he single-handedly has done something about. Also demonizes the Republicans and Congress and begs for more money. Page 2 does pretty much the same thing, mentions LGBT again, brags a few more times about stuff that's not really provable, demonizes the GOP again, and begs for more money again, with the signature of President Barack Obama himself in closing. Third page is a red, neon, bright headline that says, "The GOP's broken crystal ball." And then it goes on to list several things that, again, cannot be confirmed or denied. Percentages, numbers, statements, quotes of many people, and many statistics. And at the bottom, an address and a phone number, though generally you get no response when you try to communicate with them there. I will post this for everybody to pause and take a peek at yourself to be sure that I am not making this up. And here's my response. November 28th, 2015. Dear President Barack Obama, regarding November 3rd letter, please remove me from mailing list. I am writing in receipt of a letter dated November 3rd, 2015, mailed to my new residence and address. First of all, I'm a little puzzled as to how you have this address and from what list you were getting information. I'm not, in fact, currently affiliated with any political party. I voted for Gary Johnson and was a delegate for Ron Paul in the last election. If I ever donated to Democrats, it would have been many, many years ago now. So please be sure to kindly remove me from this mailing list for all future purposes. I am absolutely certain that I will never be a Democrat again for as long as I live. Alas, since you have opened the door to communication, relative perspectives, and supposed real data, I feel the need to share my experience, knowledge, and opinion with you. I am, after all, a U.S. citizen of 40 years, whole life, 20 plus professional managing, bookkeeping, accounting for various companies and industries, even exempt management, government, and FEMA representation. I have a vast perspective, perhaps rare, I'm told by many now. I completely disagree with almost every statement in your letter and feel that it is simply scheduled propaganda, a year to next election. From my experience in small companies, stories of average citizens, my loved ones, and cohorts, Obamacare, expanded wars, loss of freedoms, and the myriads of increasingly complicated, costly changes are further compromising our international reputation, our ability to trade, and the validity of our monetary system, which is now reduced to nothing more than gross debt, some ancient. The only people thriving are those that work for mega corporations, and insurance, banks, weaponry manufacturers, big pharmaceutical, monopolized by a fascist government reps, or the ever-growing 1%. These entities alone, feeding broken equations for their experimentation, control, and profit, do not make for a peaceful, sustainable, or fair society if we are measuring results. Rising street-level suicide, cancer, imprisonment, homelessness, joblessness, lots you guys don't track or report in crafty ways, are all I need to know that leaders today are either completely clueless or intentionally corrupt. Maybe both. I also feel it's a conflict of interest that you, Obama, are on the UN and Democrat committees. It simply reflects that there is no possible way for you to be objective in a future for average people of all kinds. The full page of brilliant red headlined slander attached to your letter was furthermore disturbing, as I also did not agree with any of the garbage therein. Pitting the people against each other does nothing for the unity or peace if you truly want that. If the rules and laws can't be simple, they can't be done. It becomes obvious to wise people at some point that the system is in fact rigged. I'm with Smedley Butler and my grandfather I lost to war. Grandma and father shattered as a result. War is a racket, taxes are theft, and political parties are empire-building puppet shows. Yeah, I know feds are watching us now. But I don't care. I have nothing to hide. I just love my privacy and desire the respect to live as I choose. I'm 40 years old, done so much by myself. Still greatest help from friends and family, never government. It's insulting to be told by total strangers now how to do it all, especially when my personal equation looks much better than the entity trying to push and penalize me, you. I'm not the terrorist for raising my voice. Governments are the renowned terrorists for stealing, lying, forcing, fear-mongering, and mass murdering around the planet consistently for decades under the guise of safety. Please count me out entirely if you can. Sincerely, Crystal McMeans. In closing, mind you, it's pretty obvious I didn't mean count me out entirely by trying to murder me and poison or drug me. Now, please enjoy the phone call to your county voters. Typical clueless representation. Okay, so today is June 13th, 2016, about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I recently discovered that I was not allowed a primary vote in the presidential election due to some kind of error in my address. I know that I did not do this, so it was either an error in the county registration office somehow, politically speaking, amidst the parties and elections people, or it was a former roommate got a hold of my personal information and changed it on my behalf to mess with me. I'm going to call them today and try to make sure that my getting online the other day was successful in changing the address to my correct and current address so that I may participate in the actual coming election for president 2016. So I'm going to go ahead and make the phone call. Y'all bear with me. Okay, so dialing now.
A division of the auditor's office. For information about our office hours and location, press 1. Accessible voting information can be heard by pressing 3. Confirm your voter registration by visiting myvote.gov. Enter your name and date of birth for information specific to you. Remain on the line for the next available staff member. To repeat this information, press the star key. Transferring to an attendant. One moment, please.
You say your name is?
Yes.
My name is Chris, C-R-Y. And I'm calling because the other day I realized that I somehow missed the presidential primary elections due to an address error of some kind somewhere. And I honestly don't know where that might have occurred, but I did get online the other day and I tried to correct that errors to my current address. And I wanted to just see if I couldn't make sure with you today that the current address is in fact what you guys have for me now, and also see if you can tell how or what former address was listed.
Let's look. What's your birthday?
Of 1906.
Okay, so you're a 40th?
I am. I'm 40th Street student.
Okay. And that came in the 10th. We processed that. And so where were you before then?
Before then, 7-3 Road. Or I'm sorry, I think it might have been, maybe was it Drive? Drive or Road?
I believe it was Drive.
It was Drive, sorry.
It looks like the post office told us something.
Yeah, we were at 8th Street prior to the.
I don't see any address. I see that he is, and then he went inactive. So we didn't mail anything out, and then we have the online change that we processed on the 10th. So there was no ballot mailed out.
So there was nothing. Okay, I understand. Yeah. So if I saw an address, that was just the system providing something random because it didn't know, was probably what I saw.
What address was it?
Well, it looked like a 197 something address and then a 6th Avenue or something when I went to change my information, but all the other personal information it had was correct. So I was like, what? It made me think that if something did in fact get mailed out, it looked like it would have gone to an entirely incorrect, erroneous address, and I would never have received it anyway, which was what made me a little concerned.
I see a form saying 1-8. I can see that.
And that was correct, and that would have been many years ago, actually.
Let me look farther back. June 10th, we did that. June 7th. I wish it was easier to look back in the beginning. And then before that.
And it was a long time ago. The 3-8 several years ago, like 5+ years ago.
It looks like inactive. Let's see. That was inactive. And then the post office told us something weird. That was 2015. In 2015, we had you in Lynn or Bob. What is that?
Well, and that's why I couldn't.
The post office. It looks like the post office tried to tell us in 2014. That was the 38. Is one in November of 2015. They tried to say it was Ball. Where is that? Southeast 6th Drive. What is that? So it looks like the post office tried to tell us that. But a card got mailed out, and that came back too. So, yeah, you didn't have a chance of ever seeing it. We never had the filled address.
Well, and that's what I mean by something wacky happened in November of 2015. But let me explain something to you. I have this on audio tape right now, and I'm not trying to accuse you or offend you.
Right now.
You're not responsible for any of this. You're a third party, so I'm not trying to blame you. I'm just saying that something happened in November, and I need to explain something to you that makes me very concerned, because in November of 2015, which is what you say there was something erroneous here that looks like happened, in November of 2015, I did in fact move. I had moved to a new location from the 380 address to a place off of Phil Drive. However, I received a letter from the Democratic National Committee. And I'm a whistleblower, okay? In 2003, I was a whistleblower. In 2015, well, you laugh, but this is real. For me, it's very real. In 2015...
Before you go further, let me just tell you how unaffiliated we are with the parties.
Oh, I realize it's not you. I realize it's not you. I'm setting up how I think this is a little weird because the Democratic Party sent me a letter, a 3-page letter that was really ugly, like gross, in my opinion, to my address, you know, at that new location, 19 Field Drive. How did the Democratic National Committee get that address, but you, the official voter people, didn't have that address? That's a little, that's really strange. No, I know, but I'm simply trying to be objective about it, and I'm also saying that fraud can easily happen when certain entities can or do have certain information. Now, if somebody didn't like the letter that I sent them back, because I did send them a letter back saying I did not and was not interested in the Democratic Party, and that I didn't believe in what they were doing, and that this next election I was going to look for someone else. And now I discovered that very same month, my information changed, but I didn't change it. So you have to understand why that seems very suspicious to me.
Theory, but unfortunately, we weren't part of it.
I'm not saying you were. I'm not.
No, and that's great.
But it's concerning to me.
Is that we had an address in Lineage, and then it says the post office told us a new address, but the address was in Boston. A card went out that still came back undeliverable. So we haven't actually mailed out any ballots since 2015. You have there was ballots in the spring, in February. So we never had the field address. Did you give that to us?
I did not, and that's why I'm saying it makes me peculiarly suspicious as to if there was some other address there.
When you called them and asked them, did they tell you how they got your new address?
Who's that?
The party that mailed you the letter.
That's the Democratic National Committee.
Okay, did you contact them and ask how they got your new address?
No, I sent them a letter in response.
Oh, well, I would be inquiring as to them, how they got your new address.
I'm not worried about that. Well, I'll tell you the reason why I'm not worried about them right now, because I am not a Democrat, and I despise the Democrats, in fact. I want to make sure with you that I'm registered to vote for someone else, because to me right now, that's the most important part.
We don't track party affiliation either.
I don't care. All I want to know is that you have the current address at this very moment for me to make my decision, supposedly within this system.
Yes,
that's all I want to know.
We processed it on the 10th.
So thank you for doing your part, but please be alerted that the conspiracy theorists have a right to be. Thank you. And that's the end of that, folks.